All right, who wants to reel us in?
Not it.
I can.
Not it. All right.
Alrighty. Well, hello, friends, and welcome to the April episode of Like Literarily.
Like
Like
literally.
literally.
This is Alexis, better known as Momo.
I'm Alysha.
I'm Rylee.
And this month, we read a book that Riley has been advocating for quite some time, Pride and Prejudice. Somehow, Alexis and I have made it through life without reading this one. I think I've seen the movie, but now I'm realizing I'm not sure because I had the actors all messed up. But I'm pretty confident I have. But anyway, this episode is not a book to movie comparison. We're just here to chat about our reading experience.
Yeah, that's good because I have not seen or previously to today read anything Pride or Prejudice related, so I went into this pretty much completely blind. I think the most I've seen are memes and random Instagram videos, so yeah, that was about the extent of my exposure.
Yeah. So I ironically finished this book last April. I think this was about the time last year that we did the Bronte sisters. I think that is what inspired me to pick it up. Um but yeah, so I read this originally last April, reread it for this podcast, and I remember trying to read this book in high school and it just like totally not happening and not clicking. So I did the audiobook. Specifically, I listened to the one narrated by Rosamund Pike. Very good. And I know this isn't a book to movie comparison, but fun fact, she played Jane, the oldest sister, in the 2005 movie. So that's kind of fun.
That is fun. So let's kick off for those that are uneducated, like Alexis and myself, with a synopsis of the book from our AI overlords. In a world where a single man in possession of good fortune must be in want of a wife, Elizabeth Bennet is having none of it. With a sharp wit and sharper tongue, she navigates the trials of romance, family drama, and societal expectations, all while trading verbal sparring matches with the proud and brooding Mr. Darcy. Full of misunderstandings, meddling relatives, and one of literature's most iconic love stories, Pride and Prejudice proves that sometimes first impressions are meant to be broken. So my first question, Rylee, how much do you rely on first impressions?
Um, I mean, I definitely like go off the vibes of a first impression and like judge it, but I don't rely on them because I have noticed mine are usually wrong. Like I For example, me and one of my very best friends, Kayla, the first time we met, actually the first couple times we met, um, I did not like her very much. I thought she was annoying. And now she's been my best friend since like the seventh or the eighth grade. Yeah, eighth grade. Seventh grade, we weren't buds. So that shows one example of how my first impression with somebody was wrong. My next was with you, Alysha. Because
I completely forgot about this.
I thought that's why you made this question, if I'm going to be honest with you.
It should have been.
Spill the tea, spill the tea, spill the tea.
So me and Alysha like met to be roommates in like one of those awkward Facebook groups in, 2013 where it's like, please be my roommate. And then we like actually met when I came out to Purdue to do like my orientation or whatever, and we met, I want to say, in Muncie at like a pizza place.
It was
And my
definitely a
first
pizza place.
Yeah, I want to say it was by Ball State for some reason, because like we had to go that way, and then it wasn't too far for you guys to come down from Fort Wayne. Anywho, but the first time I met Alysha, I was just like, why is this girl so giggly? Like, what's her deal? Obviously that was wrong.
That's so funny because I think that was one of the first things I thought too. I was like, she laughs so much.
Rylee tells me this like a year in. She's like, "Yeah, I was just like, this girl's so fake. She's laughing at like everything." I'm like, "I'm awkward. It was awkward."
But I mean, like, obviously now me and Alysha are still besties, and we survived living with each other for 4 years of college with only like wanting to kill each other a few times. So I would say that was good. Obviously, my first impression of Alysha was wrong. So I'm gonna blame that on me being a very harsh initial judge of character. And I like to think that since I've moved out of like the Northeast and like to the Midwest and the South and now Hawaii, I've become a little bit more aloha. Like, I'm not as harsh when I initially meet people. So I've grown from that. But yeah, I don't rely on first impressions because of my track record with my best friends. How about you, Alysha or Alexis?
So for me, I don't know. I feel like I am, but I'm not a first impression person. And I know that that sounds contradicting, but I think it's just because in my mind, I'm like, okay, everyone attempts to put their best foot forward when they meet people. But sometimes, especially like in a case where maybe you weren't expecting to meet new people, or it's just a larger group than maybe you thought, or whatever, your nerves tend to get the best of you sometimes. So I feel like I've met someone at first that, like, the first time, I was like, oh, okay, like, this person's really cool, blah, blah, blah. And then I saw them again and went, what the hell? And the person was like, the vibes were all types of off the next time I saw them. So I feel like for me personally, I think it's just like a vibe thing the first few times I see you. And then I kind of go from there because eventually you're either going to have a bad day and you won't be able to put your best foot forward. So, like, the real you kind of comes out. Or after you get comfortable with me, especially like if you're a more introverted person and I'm a more extroverted person, it might take me a minute to actually coax you to like be social because you're more introverted or whatever, or you're like super nervous around people or anxious. So I don't know. I feel like I give it a first few times, but then after that, that's usually where I'm like, okay, do I like this person or do I not like this person? It just depends. So yeah, I don't know. So maybe first impression, but like of several times of seeing you rather than one particular time. But that doesn't mean that I won't have my thoughts, I guess. I just kind of pinpoint what do I need to pay attention to that I might not prefer to be around or whatever. I don't know if that makes sense, but I think that's what I tend to do, anyways.
I'm picking up what you're putting down. You don't have like a strong like first impression. You give people some grace. Unlike me, who's just like, who's this fake person, aka Alysha, giggling all the time.
Nothing is that funny.
Just try to live our life. Man.
I was so mean. I'm sorry, Alysha.
Hey, I didn't even know.
Well, what
See,
about you, Alysha?
No, I was the fake person, obviously, because Alysha didn't know.
I was like, we're friends. I made my first friend at college. So me, first impressions. Like, I think there's some truth to them. Like, as much as I also want to say that, yeah, I don't let first impressions, like, completely influence me. Like, I don't know. We've all got biases, and we all got confirmation bias, where it's like we look for things that we've already, like, tended to believe or are starting to believe. But that said, like, I get it. Like, I don't strive when there's like more than like five people in a room. And if that's going to be your first impression of me, you're going to be like, "Ooh." So I try to keep that in mind. Like, you never know what's going on or what environment they prefer to be in. But like, if somebody gives me the ick during our first impression, yeah, that one's harder to shake. I'm just like, gut feeling, this is a no.
I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, the ick will get you. The ick will get you.
So maybe thinking of the opposite of an ick, I quite liked Elizabeth's character in this book.
Yeah, me too. She was like very independent, and I feel like she really pushed against societal norms. Like, she was always definitely going against the beaten path, kind of like an original, I'm not like other girls vibe, but in a good way. I don't know if that makes sense. She also had really strong character and convictions, which IDK if that was like a really popular thing back when Jane Austen wrote this originally, but it is definitely a trope now. Um, I think largely because of how influential like this book and just Jane Austen's other books are.
Yeah, I just loved her independence as a whole and that she questioned things. I think that's why I like what's her face from Bridgerton. Eloise, is that her?
Yes.
Yes. So I think that's like why I like her, why I like Elizabeth. Um, I read Slewfoot last fall, and that was definitely like the female main character. She was also very much so questioning like these things don't make sense. Why do you care what I wear or what I say, or why can't my opinion matter? And I just y'all know me. So I vibe with those characters like that. And honestly, just like the consistent rejections of certain things, kind of like Rylee was saying, like going off the beaten path. And then just the fact that like she just didn't settle. And I think that she knew her worth despite her quote unquote place in society. And I appreciated that about her.
Yeah, she's just like out here trying to be happy, man. And lo and behold, that's difficult for a woman to do because of societal pressures and constraints.
Whoa, wild. We have really come so far since the 1800s.
All right, so mind-boggling.
I feel like there's like a slight sense of sarcasm underneath there, but you know, we've made some progress. It just people keep trying to take progress away.
Man, thinking of progress and some character arcs and tropes in this book, I got to say, you know what this book had? A miscommunication trope. And we know how I feel about miscommunication
Those are
tropes.
your favorite. What do you mean?
Oh, Lordy. But I actually thought this one is done quite well. And I think that's because of like the circumstance and context around it, where like the issue isn't that we have these two characters who are seeing each other constantly and just can't talk. But like we're juggling with these ideas of like the first impressions that they had of each other. The fact they're like sending occasional letters and they have like this whole gossip sphere around them in like the dating scene, and like that they can't just have a conversation, like things are supervised and there's like these chunks of time because they live in different areas. So I was like, this is miscommunication more by like context and circumstances of the time than it is these two characters just can't like open their mouths and say something, because oh, they said something like Lizzie was speaking her mind. But yeah, I didn't realize there was going to be a miscommunication trope in here, and I didn't mind it.
Yeah, no, I agree. But also I really liked the gossip aspect of this book because I am a gossip queen. I love it. I love my reality TV, as you all know. But this was gossip, but classical literature, so it's, classy, obviously. This means I'm well read or whatever, not just loving gossip.
She's worldly.
I'm so worldly. What can I say? Look at me go. Um,
Rylee would have loved Lady Whistledown from Bridgerton.
oh my God, that would have been such my vibe. I would have been like on the corner, like waiting for that paper to drop every other week or whatever.
Rylee be in the tea room. Alysha, Momo, babe, wake up. New Lady Whistledown published.
No, for real though. But I will say this book also had some like grumpy and sunshine slow burn tropes, which lead us into this story. What's all y'all's thoughts on Mr. Darcy's character arc? Overall, I thought he was pretty relatable. I mean, he was like a huge introvert with who was like a lot crass, and didn't want to go to dumb societal parties. I mean, I get it. It seems kind of lame. I wouldn't have wanted to go. Then he like got a reality check from some pretty girl and was like, you know what? Maybe I should stop being an asshole. And then they fell in love. So romantic. What's up, Alysha?
Girl, you wouldn't want to go to the parties. How are you going to get your gossip?
I know. It's like very controversial because I don't like to dance, I would want to be on like the wall, just like observing, trying to figure out who the hell Lady Whistledown was. That would probably be what I was doing.
Okay. But I gotta agree with you for Mr. Darcy. I felt like he is kind of shy and socially awkward, like an introvert, in my opinion, who just gets a little mouthy when his social battery's running a bit low. I did like that his growth seemed to be like rather reflective. Like Elizabeth was like, I'm not holding your hand through this. This is like a no. And he had to go sit with that and figure out what he was going to do about it. And I like that he still like kept his personality quirks through the whole story. Like, yeah, he's still a like grumpy kind of crass, but like is at least being kind-hearted with the people he cares about more openly. Um, and so he doesn't emerge as like this totally different person, but like kind of like he went to therapy was like the vibes, but obviously that wasn't chatted about.
Yeah, I feel like the main thing that I got from him was honestly like, kind of like we said with first impressions when you first meet someone or based off of what society says about you or whatever, you kind of frame what you think about somebody. And they both kind of did that. Like her and Mr. Darcy both did it towards each other. Then, of course, like the people around them definitely did it. And I just think that what was interesting is when he meets her and kind of like you said, kind of turns his mindset around about certain things. I think deep down she realized, kind of like what I was saying, where it kind of takes a few times to see someone or really take the time to get to know somebody to be able to have them warm up to you and see how they actually are deep down. And I feel like the more she got to know him, she was like, okay, despite how serious this guy is, like he's still a human and he has the tendency to have this like lighter sense of him come out. But what took so long, I guess. And that's kind of like what you said. He kept his quirks and he doesn't emerge as a different person, but he grows, and that's nice. I also feel like a lot of people, especially just because of the time that this was written, hold the sense in like obviously her value in being married because that's what they do. That's what they did. And then I feel like what really stuck out to me listening to the audiobook was that everyone just assumed that a man like him would be focused on, especially just having money, like a marriage and to get heirs to like his legacy and all this other stuff. And he was like, I'm just vibing. You guys are kind of weird. And so I don't know. I like how this book's overall theme just reminds you that people are not always what they seem, I guess. So, or like to make it punny, don't judge a book by its cover. Haha.
But this
Haha.
so like all the characters in this book largely are single. So I thought we could go through a little fun segment of what do you imagine all these people's dating profiles are like? And so I'll kick off with one. Like, I am guessing that Lizzie has some kind of witty bio that's like partially knocking dating apps. And she's just sitting there swiping no on literally everybody on the app.
That's 100% her vibe. Other than Wickham. And then Darcy was like one that was a take backseat, you know what I mean?
Wait, bring that back.
Yeah, I feel no, I like whoever wrote the Darcy looks like a douchebag, but actually took the time to answer the Hinge prompts instead of just saying that their favorite food is tacos. I was like, that is so accurate because he just took everything so seriously. Like he'd be like, "Oh, you're asking me what is my ideal date or how would I court you?" And then he would answer it so specifically, like no detail left untouched.
And I feel
And
like Mr. Wickham was like the exact opposite. Like he had like really cool, awesome photos where he looked so interesting, but then had really shitty prompts. You know what I mean?
yeah, that checks
Yes.
out. The other one I thought was funny, so laughing at my own jokes. But I felt like Bingley is just the guy who's responding like every 3 business days.
Yeah, like he just disappeared and left Jane on red. Like for real, for reals. But I ended up really liking those two though in the book. I like really enjoyed following along their like secondary plot line, you know what I mean?
I did as well.
Another one on here, I think you wrote this one, Alysha, is Jane is getting ghosted left and right because she's swiping right on everyone, which although I do kind of agree with for Jane, I more so see this as Charlotte, the one that ended up marrying Mr. Collins. I know you guys like haven't seen the movie, but there is like a pretty popular scene that comes up on Instagram and TikTok and stuff that's like Mike just chimed in. That's coming up next, Michael. Um, anyway, but it's like I have no money and no prospects. I'm a burden on my parents. So I feel like that's her on Tinder. It's just like, I need a husband. I'm going to swipe right on everybody.
She's like, I don't
And
even care. I just need one. Any takers.
any takers, any of
That's
the above.
that's fair. I was thinking of how like everybody's like Jane just has such a favorable impression of everybody, but I can definitely see that perspective as well.
Yeah. Jane is the favorable expression and Charlotte is the desperate one.
Fair enough.
With that said, Mr. Collins's favorite food is definitely boiled potatoes. That is another what excellent boiled potatoes is another iconic line from the movie that Mike was just saying. Another one that I think is that Lydia was definitely the one asking her sisters, like, "Oh, who are you talking to on Hinge? Ooh, let me see their profile." And then when they come up on her, she would super like them.
Not the super like.
I don't know if that's still a thing, but I think
I'm
it
sure
is.
it is.
I mean, it got the money. I'm sure they're still doing it.
Well, when I'm healed and I'm back on them, if I ever decide to do that, I'll let you guys know. To be confirmed.
Oh man. Well, thank you guys for entertaining that segment. So, the final question is, what were your thoughts?
So obviously I've said this several times, but I loved this audiobook especially. I think Rosamund Pike did a great job. I listened to two other Jane Austen books now. Both of them had full casts, which were also really, really good. Um, Overall, from the three books that I've read, I'd rank them as I think Pride and Prejudice is the best one. I mean, it's a classic for a reason. And then I really liked Emma, which highly recommend for you guys because it's definitely a different vibe. Because Emma's like a character that is not likable, but she like still kind of is. And then Sense and Sensibility. I would say Sense and Sensibility is very similar to Pride and Prejudice, but I think Pride and Prejudice is better, so which is why I rank it third. But overall, I gave this book 5 stars because I really think it has good rereadability, and I still enjoy it, and I still think about it. And now I have a Jane Austen puzzle that I bought that I could listen to audiobooks while I do my Jane Austen puzzle. And it's really cute because every time I finish one of these books, me and Mike make a date out of like watching the movie and having like our little period drama date night.
So cute.
It is so cute. And now Mike in the background keeps talking about excellent boiled potatoes. So I'm going to hear that for the rest of the day.
It is fitting with your avatar.
It is fitting with my avatar.
I feel like on this episode we should just be like literally featuring Mike's commentary in the background.
Just Mike doing random quotes from the movie.
Yes, that should be the outro. Well, I guess that'd be a good segue to me. So I listened to the audiobook via Libby, so that was cool. I really enjoyed listening to it. You guys know I love British accents, so that's always a fun time for me. I didn't quite get to the ending, but like I said, I've always seen memes and videos on TikTok and Instagram and all that kind of stuff, even though I've never seen the movie. So I obviously knew the gist of it. Um, so overall, I didn't have any issues with it. I think it was good to listen to over the course of the last like day and a half of me trying to crank this out. I would probably give it like a 3.75 simply just because I'm not a huge classic person. So I wouldn't say that I would go rushing to pick up another one just because it's not typically my cup of tea, but I have enjoyed listening to them via audiobook. So I feel like if Riley's saying they're worth to listen to, like then I probably would. But I would say that I might like maybe once I actually finish listening to it today, might crank it up more to like a 4 just because kind of like what Riley said, it's very timeless and I think you can listen to this and relate it to pretty much any period of society, like even now. So yeah.
My question was going to be if you plan on finishing this one, unlike our last episode. So I guess you answered that question that you will be finishing it. So that's fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed it enough to finish it. Unlike the last one that we did. So I'll definitely finish it today. And if I end up changing my mind or changing my rating, maybe I'll share it after we share the like via our story after we publish the episode in April.
Cool, cool. All right, Alysha, what about you?
I think this may be one of the first, if not the first time we all listened to the audiobook. Because I also did the audiobook and really enjoyed it. It was fun to listen to. I did enjoy the gossipy vibe and like jumping around all the characters in the world and hearing about all their little sub romances. I gave it 4.5 stars because at times I did feel like it dragged a little bit. And I feel like I probably would have struggled a bit more if I was reading it instead of listening to it in that case.
I
But
agree. I agree. I definitely wouldn't have been able to read this as fast as I listened to. Alrighty. Well, overall, it seems like we all kind of liked this one, so that's pretty good. All right. See you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.